Just like to welcome you all to this virtual Post-16 event at Longroad Sixth Form College. Just introduce myself. I'm Chris Childs. I'm an assistant principal and I'm in charge of the curriculum at Longroad and also the teaching staff. Throughout the presentation, please send in any questions you have. Behind the scenes, we've got a large team of staff we've sort of set up tonight, and they'll be very happy to answer any questions that you post within the sort of chat window. So I'm going to sort of start now with a short presentation about Longroad Sixth Form College, and then we're going to talk to some of our fabulous students a bit later, in about 15 or 20 minutes. Next slide, please. So one thing about Longroad, and it's a college that's very dear to me, so this is my 20th year of working at Longroad. I started as a geography teacher in 2000, and one thing about Longroad, it is a unique college. It's a specialist sixth form college, so the staff who work here are specialists in their fields, and you'll have specific teachers who study psychology or chemistry or biology, and it's a very, very different ethos. It's a college, not a school. And one of the key things here is, which sort of struck me when I joined and still for these 20 years, is that we treat every student as an adult, not as a child, which may happen at school. Inside the classrooms, you'd expect very high quality teaching from our staff, but also you'll have a lot of opportunity to sort of interact and plan your next steps when you would leave college after 2 or 3 years. So this means that we'll have experts coming in from next door, from the biomedical campus. We tap into a lot of industries within Cambridge, from the tech industries, the pharma industries, as well as working with, for example, accountancy firms. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to spend a bit of time now sort of talking through the sort of curriculum at Longroad. So what you'll see in front of you here is that we offer 3 levels of study. So level 2 study would be the equivalent of GCSEs, or level 2 applied courses, which you can see on the sort of left of the screen there. We offer a really wide range of A levels, so you can see the traditional A levels that you would expect to study, but also ones which you may not find in sixth forms, for example, politics, sociology, business studies, film studies. We offer level 3 diploma, which I'll talk through in a bit more detail you can see there, from applied science to media. So I'm just going to talk about what a full-time student would study at Longroad. So for example, a full-time study program could be 3 A levels. So 3 A levels, for example, would be, say, at university, if that was a progression aim, or for work. Offers would normally be made on 3 A levels. However, up to 50% of our students study not just A levels, but sometimes a mixture of diplomas or pure diploma program. So for example, an extended diploma is the equivalent of 3 A levels. So for example, if you did an extended diploma in media, at the end of 2 years, the qualification would reflect the size of 3 A levels in total. So if you applied to university, they would make an offer on the 3 grades you received in your extended diploma. The major difference is that A levels, you'd be familiar, are graded from A to E. Diplomas are graded from pass, merit, distinction, and distinction star. So if you got 3 distinction stars in an extended diploma, that would be the equivalent of 3 A stars in terms of UCAS points. You can do extended certificates. These are increasingly popular, and an extended certificate is the equivalent of 1 A level. So if you did 3 extended certificates, for example, in media, sport and business, by the end of 2 years, you would have the equivalent of 3 A levels. A diploma is the equivalent of 2 A levels. So some students may do an extended diploma and an extended certificate. Again, to give you an example, say health and social care and sport. And this again, by the end of the diploma and the extended certificate, by the end of 2 years, would be account the equivalent of 3 A-levels. Many of our students, though, do a mixture of the 2 qualifications, because often with the diplomas, there's a higher element of coursework in them. All of them now have some form of examination because of government changes, but some students prefer sort of doing continuous assessment and coursework rather than just doing exams at the end of 2 years. So some students, for example, might choose to do 2 A-levels and 1 extended certificate because it would lighten that exam load at the end of 2 years. Some may do a diploma and an A-level. So some, for example, some students may do a health and social care diploma and a biology or psychology A-level alongside it. Or some may choose to do 1 A-level, a good example, photography, and may do graphics and media as extended certificates. When we hold open evenings next month, each subject will talk through how either the A-level or the extended diploma or certificate will work, and we'll have a lot more detail on how it's examined and assessed. But the key thing is that at college you have an incredible choice to sort of really customize the courses you do and your study program to make the, to really set you up for the sort of next move when you would leave college to work, apprenticeship, university. Next slide, please. One of the key things with college, a big difference to school, you can see there that our average class size is about 19 students. And what this means is that there's a lot more support. So lessons for an A-level or an extended certificate would equate to 4.5 hours a week. But there's far more beyond that. So students will have opportunities to go to seminar-like sessions, we call workshops. There's one-to-one support. So we do a lot of the sort of academic wraparound care for students beyond the lessons. All our staff are trained as teachers and are specialists in sixth form areas. When you go to the open evening, you'll see a lot are examiners with exam boards, a lot are into research. Many of us, including myself, work and help out the Faculty of Education at Cambridge, where we do a lot of sort of teacher training and ITT. And what it means in the smaller classes, students will have that opportunity to really develop a strong relationship with a teacher. And this is one of the key areas moving forward for successful students, is to have that real positive relationship with that member of staff. Teachers, obviously, as we move towards elements of remote working, contactable via email or via Teams, sort of program that we're using this evening. One of the sort of key parts of their work is to really make students feel comfortable, but they have the expertise to deliver, so your son or daughter would achieve the grade they're aiming for. Next slide, please. The college day, you can see, is a little bit longer probably than a sort of typical school day, which probably normally finish, say, an hour earlier. But one of the key things here is that we have large areas where students can study independently. And this is where I think one of the shifts is from school. At college, it's in a way quite similar to sort of transitioning to, say, higher education and university. So students will have their lessons, but they will not have a lesson for every part of the week. So it means that students, while they're at college, can go and work independently. They can attend extra workshops or support with teachers. But it gives students the chance to sort of set out their own way of studying, which will be different for each student. This is the picture you can sort of see on the screen there. It's exceptionally well equipped with traditional resources, but also large access to online resources. One thing we will do, it's we're starting to do now remotely, but hopefully next year we'll be able to do in person, is to bring in and tap into the scientists, the academics in the Cambridge area. It's one huge advantage we have as a college, that we have lots of contacts with these professionals and able to bring them in to really contextualise a lot of the studies that the students do. Via the sort of progression side of college and the guidance side, staff will help students set up their own sort of program of how they will study and how they will use this independent time. This year, with our year 1 and year 2 students, we've given them access to room and resources when they don't have lessons, to make sure they've got secure study space so they can keep working through beyond the sort of lessons they have each week. Next slide, please. I think one of the big things about Long Road is, you know, sort of the staff ethos, and also when you come here is how we try to look after each student. That we're obviously, you know, looking for the student to get the strongest academic results, but most importantly, that time from the age of 16 to 18 or 19, it's a big change, and bringing a lot of the sort of socialisation, the life skills, the soft skills, which are going to be just as important moving forward in work and university. And via our progress coach team, and a couple of the progress coaches are sort of working behind the scenes tonight answering questions, we've got some exceptionally experienced staff who will look after your son or daughter in their 2-year journey at college, also offer expert advice on careers, on UCAS and universities, and also help them settle into Long Road life. As a college, we have probably about 120 different schools will feed students into us each year, and it means that some schools, you know, larger schools, there may be 30, 40, 50 students come from. Other schools, there may be, you know, a handful, and they work exceptionally hard to help students feel comfortable at college and also settle in quickly, because we know from all the research, and I'm sure you know yourselves, that once the student feels more comfortable and settled in terms of their work and everything, it will get better and they feel more confident moving forwards. Next slide, please. Big part of college life, as you can imagine, is the enrichment side. And as a college, we offer all the traditional team sports. We have a well-equipped gym. We have basketball academy. And we really encourage students to participate in sport. Sport is done in the sort of traditional Wednesday afternoon slot, which, you know, sort of, and in most, you know, this year it's obviously been more difficult, but we would work and play sports against rival colleges and teams, and also participate in some of the university colleges sports leagues. We have a Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award, which students participate in each year. Pride Club volunteering, which is a real big sort of growth area in students volunteering time and support to help the local community. About 100 to 150 students each year do the extended project qualification. It sort of starts in Easter the first year and finishes at Christmas in the second year, so it won't interfere with the sort of the end of the 2-year exams. It's a really key piece of work, because there's a lot of A-levels. When they reformed 3 or 4 years ago, they removed the coursework element from their programs. So it gives, particularly in sciences, in maths, subjects that don't have coursework elements, an opportunity for students to be able to showcase a different skill set. And the big difference with the EPQ is that it's not just focused on the final project. It teaches a lot of skills in terms of how you evaluate your project, and it's looking as much as how you came to the final product as much as the final product itself. We operate a med squad and a vet squad, and what we would do here is, this particularly obviously students would be studying science and maths, where at the start of the first year, any students that are interested in doing medicine, veterinary science, they will sort of join this group that meets throughout the sort of college week from term 1, and we help students with the whole process of going through to university, help with interviews, we set up mock interviews, we bring in alumni to come in and talk about their experiences, you know, studying medicine, for example. And what we're trying to do more and more is to try and, outside of the lessons, give students opportunities where they're interested in careers to sort of experience that and get support from our staff. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about some of our former students here. So this is Saffron. So you can see here that she went on to do a degree apprenticeship. degree apprenticeships is the biggest growth area we've seen in terms of students looking how they're going to progress once they've left college. So degree apprenticeship means that over a course of a number of years, Saffron will be essentially sponsored by her employer to take a degree, which she will do on a day release. So say after 3 years, she would have achieved that degree, but she will be working at the same time, sort of gaining valuable experience. So here she studied a level 3 science extended diploma. So that would be the equivalent of 3 A levels that she studied in that diploma. And what it meant was that that diploma opened doors in the local sort of science community, but if she decided to go another path and go to university, it would have enabled her to go to university as well. That's sometimes one of the most common questions I get asked when we used to do these events physically is, will the diploma program gain me entry to university? And I'll just show you now on the next slide. So this is Kez, who left Long Road in the summer. She did an extended diploma in level 3 art and design. So again, the equivalent of 3 A levels. And you can see here, she's now studying fine art at Oxford University. So one of these sort of questions that comes up a lot about, saying, can I get into university? You can see the proof that the extended diploma opens doors to all universities in this country. Okay, and then next slide, please. So this is Alex Bentley. So you can see Alex studied 3 A levels here, quite a nice sort of classic combination, English literature, history and sociology. And he's currently now studying at University of Liverpool, doing a BA in English Lit. And you can see here that he was a student who I knew very well, that as he came to college, he really embraced the opportunity to study independently and, in an atmosphere that, felt he was supported, and he achieved fantastic A levels to get him to Liverpool. Okay, and next slide, please. Okay, so just here sort of shows you the sort of program for the sort of next 6 to 8 months. So next month, we're going to be holding virtual open evenings, and we'll put details about those in a little bit on the screen. Also, we'll have like applicant welcome days in June, so sort of post GCSE exams. Hopefully be able to invite students on to get a proper feel of Long Road, meet the teachers and experience lessons in those subjects. Okay, just one moment, okay. So next slide, please. So Long Road, you can see here the application deadline via CAP or other methods is 12th of January 2021. But what I'd really say is that we've got a really good team who work in admissions, and at any point, please contact them via email, pick up the phone, please call them, and they'll be able to offer you lots of information about the college and hopefully answer any sort of questions you have about studying at Long Road and the courses that we offer. Okay, next slide, please. So actually, we'll leave this slide on, and now I'm going to introduce. I'm going to ask the 3 students who are here this evening to introduce themselves, and they're going to say what secondary school they're from and what they're studying. So I'm going to start with Emily.
Hello. Hiya, I'm Emily. My secondary school was St Clement's High School at Kings Lynn, Norfolk.
Thank you, Emily. Okay, I'm just going to speak to Joanna.
Hi, I'm Joanna. I went to Cambridge Academy for Science and Technology, and I'm currently a Year 2 student.
Thank you, Joanna. And I'm just going to try Poppy. Okay, I think just having a look on the sort of message, probably just gonna try and reconnect and go into the meeting. So I'm just gonna start with you, Emily. I'm just gonna ask you a few questions about college. So my first question is how have you found the virtual learning?
Virtual learning, it's been an experience, an opportunity actually really to see what it'd be like. During virtual learning, I've actually had more one-to-one meetings with the teachers. And then, so for instance, this week I've been on campus. So it's like more doing practical and physical work, whereas remote, we're doing more research and analysis.
That's excellent. How have you found getting to college? How's that been like? Because obviously you travel quite a way.
Yeah, I do get the train. It's about an hour long. Traveling, I find within the first day or two, I found it very confident and easy to get on the train. Bus is consistently running to the college all the time, whether you live in Cambridge or you travel afar. There's buses coming, you know, every 5-10 minutes, or it's a 20-minute walk if that's something you prefer.
Brilliant. And how have you found your timetable? Because obviously it's been a bit different to what you'd normally have at school.
Timetable, it's definitely a change from high school where it was set, you know, 9 till 3, whereas now, you know, one day I could be going in for 4 lessons and one day I could only be going in for maybe 2 lessons, and we do have free time as well.
And if you sort of use some of that time to do sort of independent study?
Yeah, with independent study, I can either go off and, you know, catch up on some work I need to, or maybe, like for instance, today I had a one-to-one with my teacher and just catch up on work, you know, maybe I felt a bit behind on, or maybe just needed, you know, a bit more information about.
Cool. And sort of lastly, before I move on to ask Joanna some questions, is how do you sort of see that belong? That's something that Long Road has promoted. What does that stand for yourself?
Personally, in my experience, is when you go to the school, everyone, depending on what course you've chose, everyone's passionate about the same thing. So it's not, you know, it's a bit more like a community, like people are together and they all want the same thing and achieve, you know, bigger aspects.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Emily. I'm just going to speak to Joanna now. And sort of first question is, what's there to sort of do outside of class?
So there are student enrichment activities such as student gym, team sports, student clubs and volunteering like I am doing today.
Brilliant. And can you sort of bring your own device and sort of laptops into lesson if you wish?
Yes, so whatever works best for you. So some people will decide to come in with a folder and write their notes out, and some people will use a laptop during lesson time.
Thank you. And how do you find working with your tutor? Do you have sort of tutor time at college?
So you are assigned a progress coach who will support you throughout your time at college. They lead tutorial sessions which will help you make friends and settle into college and help you with progression planning.
Brilliant. And obviously some people, it's quite a large campus. You found it pretty easy to sort of find where you need to go and navigate around?
Yeah, we had a tour of the facilities beforehand, and then on the day, on like my first week, there was always signs, there was always people that you could ask. So. Okay,
Emily, I'm just going to come back to you and ask you a few more questions. One which is quite, interesting question is, what are your teachers like? I don't think they're watching, so you can say what you like. I think it's muted, Emily.
I'm taking art and design level 3 extended diploma, and within my course I have 2 teachers. They are amazing, and they provide a lot of help, and they're always helping. When you're at college or at home, you're still receiving help and information, and they're very in depth about everything you've got to do.
And you think they've got that sort of passion for art? Is it definitely?
Yeah, and they've got more experience that they can give you.
Cool. And obviously, come into college, how have you been able to make new friends in your classes?
Yes. Coming to the school, there wasn't really anyone I knew because it's like a very long travel. But coming to the college, I thought maybe everyone would be kind of more stuck to their own friend groups from high school. But everyone's been very open and welcoming, and there's no worries now.
Cool. And what sort of support have you received as a student so far?
A lot actually. So for instance, like at home with the remote, there's been a lot of trouble setting up maybe, you know, for instance, within my lesson, it was setting up Photoshop and Illustrator and things like that. And as soon as there was a problem, within minutes, it was getting sorted by our IT people.
Cool. And how have you found the workload on that sort of in the diploma and extended diploma?
To begin with, it'd be a bit hard to begin with because it's equivalent to 3, so it's equivalent to 3 A levels. It feels like a lot more, but actually, once you plan it out, you know, it's really is easy to get a hold of.
Brilliant. Okay, Joanna, I'm just going to ask you a few more questions. What about sort of the school trips or visitors that come in? I just think you're muted, Joanna. That's it.
Normally we would have, yes. Obviously because of coronavirus it has changed. So usually now it's all remotely. I had an opportunity to go paintballing during my first year as a business student. As a criminology student, I also had the opportunity to talk to ex-convicts.
And how did you find that experience? Was it okay?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
That's good. And how do you describe a sort of college campus and the site?
There is a lot of outside green spaces and sport pitches and fields. And then there's dedicated study spaces and social spaces where you can sit by yourself or with a group of friends. And then there has been additional social spaces which are socially distanced. So we have a marquee outside now for that.
Cool. And because obviously you're in year 2 and you're sort of looking ahead to progress when you leave Long Roads, how's the support been with your sort of progression?
Yeah, so we have careers events throughout the year where the college invites universities and employers onto the campus to talk to us. And it doesn't really matter which route you want to take. There's, you know, if you want to go to university, apprenticeships, gap year, full-time employment, there's always someone to help.
Brilliant. And because that's obviously, you know, a really sort of important part for yourself. You know, it sounds strange, but in a year's time, you might be in, you know, a completely different setting. The question often get asked a lot by students is, what's the canteen like and the quality of food?
Yeah, so we have the food centre, which houses Costa, the kitchen, and Grab and Go shop, which serve a range of hot and cold food, snacks and drinks.
Cool. And so I'm just going to ask a couple sort of general questions to both of you. So why did you choose to study at Long Road? Because you could obviously go to different institutions. Either Joanna or Emily. I'd go Joanna possibly first because you're on sort of screen now.
Yeah, so I joined Long Road because I heard a lot of good things about it through friends and through friends of friends. So I definitely joined after I heard a lot of good things about it.
And Emily, because you obviously travel a great distance to come to college, why did you choose to come to Long Road? I think you might be muted, Emily.
Before joining Long Road, I knew what career I wanted to go into, and that career was in the centre of Cambridge, so I wanted to study and be comfortable around the environment.
Cool. And again, I'll start with Emily. In terms of say year 11 students who are preparing to move up to sixth form, have you got any sort of advice you'd like to sort of give them, any, you know, hints and tips that, you know, you found useful?
When coming to college, don't be worried about making friends or groups or learning the map of the college. It all just come naturally, and then you'll be super confident in guys.
Cool. And Joanna?
Yeah, so definitely don't be worried. It may sound scary, but it's definitely not. And I'd say definitely revise. It is definitely something that helps along the way, and to learn your way around revision, what helps you.
And I think, again, just a more general question, what have you noticed the sort of differences, say, between Long Road and, say, being when you were at school? Has there been any sort of noticeable differences?
So usually at a secondary school, you would say Miss, Sir, kind of have that name, not have that name basis. Whereas at college, you call everyone by their first name, teachers, students.
You sort of find, you know, particularly say a subject like criminology, which you wouldn't have studied before you come to Long Road, that having that sort of more adult sort of relationship, because some of the topics you may cover sort of helps in that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you feel a lot like more mature and taken seriously.
Brilliant. And Emily, how do you sort of feel the sort of differences between, you know, school last year and now coming to college? Has there been any sort of big differences?
I haven't really found like a massive difference, but definitely more talk of the future, aspires and inspirations, and what people talking about they want to do in the future is definitely a big thing.
Cool. And just wondering, your experience, is there anything else you'd like to sort of say, you know, feel pertinent to say about the college, you know, that would be useful for the students and parents watching now? Sort of that. Just trying to get, it might be muted. Or Joanna, is there anything you'd like to add? It's been very comprehensive in what you've both said.
Yeah, so you'll definitely get help. You can ask about, you know, how to merge your subjects together if you want to do a certificate, if you want to do an A-level. I didn't go the traditional route where just doing 3 A-levels. I have done business, which equates to 2 A-levels, and criminology, which equates to 1 A-level. So definitely don't be worried about diving into that.
Brilliant. And anything, Emily, you'd like, because I know you obviously is a newer experience, but you felt doing the extended diploma was the right choice?
Yes, definitely. I wasn't a big fan of examinations, and I did prefer the more practical coursework.
Brilliant. Okay. So I've talked about, you know, a lot of sort of different aspects of being at college, and I know the team behind the scenes is working sort of feverishly answering questions that are coming in from students and parents. So I think, having sort of talked through that we're, you know, we've sort of added our parts, is that I'll sort of finish now with the presentation, but our staff will be working to answer any questions you have about college. So please, send those questions in. Thank you very much, Joanna. Thank you very much, Emily.